I teach those people that there are actually 3 systems that we need to look at in order to be successful. The first system is about the share market. So that is your trading plan, your entry, your exit, your position sizing, the specifics about how you get in, how you get out, how much money to put into each position, including what you do with that money once you start making money, and if you're making losses, how you handle that. So that's the market system.
We have all sorts of different systems that we do. And the more we focus on systems, whether they be business systems for your sales and marketing, whether they be wealth building systems, whether they be personal systems, whatever they are for you, the more we can get a predictable outcome. And that's what we're really looking for. We don't necessarily need to maximize the outcome all the time, although that would be great, right? But I think what most people are looking for is just security of a predictable outcome. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of More Clients, Less Effort. We're going to take a little pivot into the world of trading today with the amazing Louise Bedford. Louise, thanks for joining us.
Tim, it's great to be here. I'm loving your podcast. As a fellow podcast host, we have to do what we can to encourage and cheerlead.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's much easier than writing books, isn't it? Although we're going to get into that in more details as well. Louise is the founder of thetradinggame.com.au. The link to that will be in the show notes. And she's the best-selling author of not 1, not 2, but 5 best-selling books on the stock market, and a behavioral finance expert with degrees in psychology and business. You're busy.
Thank you for that introduction.
No, that's fantastic. I love this because it's not just all about trading, but trading is one of those mechanisms, I guess, that gives us the freedom to do other things. Like for you, it's spending time with your children and your husband, lifting weights at the gym, lifting gyms at the weights, and enjoying yoga. Now, I want to take you back. Now, one of the reasons I really wanted to interview Louise is back in the day. Now, this is going back to my high school years, which is more years ago than I can count. I was going to be Gordon Gekko, and Charlie, what was Charlie Sheen's character's name?
The other one.
Bud? Was it Bud? Can't remember now. I'm gonna have to quickly Google it while we're chatting. But that was going to be my thing. I was going to be a trader back in the day. How did you get into it?
I did not know that about you, Tim.
Oh, yeah, well, I was never going to be a firefighter or anything like that. Bud Fox, there we go. I think it was Bud something. I was never going to be a firefighter or a policeman or something. That's my brother's kind of pursued that. My sister was always going to be a diplomat, right? She's followed in my grandfather's footsteps in that regard. But my first fascination, in fact, my first business mentor, as some of our listeners know, was Uncle Scrooge, right? And my golden book, I still remember this day, he rowed his rowboat around his money pit and then said, dive off and have this sort of absolute blast, and this is going to be the fun thing, right? And of course, 1987, as I was a very impressionable sort of 13, 14, 15-year-old, I thought, oh my God, how cool is this, right? They look very sharp. They got their sort of double-breasted suits on, the giant mobile phones.
And also the putting all of that money onto the bed and doing like a snow angel. That's my memory. Yes, it's so good.
How did you get into it? What was your inspiration for getting into understanding trading in a big way?
Well, look, many, many moons ago, when I was also an impressionable teenager, my sister's boyfriend at the time said he's got a sure thing. And strangely, that sure thing did come off. So my very first trade, I don't even count this usually. I'm just telling you because we're bonding over our teenage years. My first trade was at 16 and I put in some money and it went up, my friend, times 5. Wow. So that got my attention. My dad was an investor and we had our lives changed in year 11 for me back then. And it was incredible. Some trade came in and we moved house. Dad bought a boat. We got a second car. All of a sudden we could shop in actual shops instead of mum sewing everything. So all of that fed into my mindset. I do think that is the basis of why I started trading at about the age of 20. There was a seminar involved where somebody said how you make your money is you can get involved in property in the share market and in business. And the ideal aspect is to combine all three. But if you're only going to do one, do the share market, because you can't sell off one room in a house. Wow, it blew my mind. So all of these things sort of fed into this ultimate fulcrum of that seesaw where I tipped over and put actual money into the market.
Do you think if that first investment that hadn't been as successful, that you would have still had that interest in investing?
Ooh, well, that's interesting. It definitely piqued my interest because I thought, yes, there's definite money here, but I do think I was destined for this because there were so many other things pointing in that direction. And the main one is being brought up in relative poverty did help because I knew I didn't want to be like that. I do remember at one stage, my grandmother, she was such an influence in my life, she said to me, "She who makes the gold makes the rules." And that to me spoke very, very loudly. I knew I wanted to be rich from a very young age. My favourite toy was a tiny little coffin, which was a money box, and a skeletal hand reached out, grabbed the coin and swept it into the grave. So I used to put money there and the little hand would grab the money, and I loved that thing. So I think I've always had an affinity with money, with looking for ambitious ways to be able to spread my influence and security as well. So all of that really, I think, coalesced into me being totally prepared to jump on that opportunity.
I think it's a really interesting thing how we look at how our childhood has really influenced a kind of our relationship with money and or with business or investing or anything like that. I mean, I don't remember, I think from my memory anyway, I grew up in a reasonably middle-class family. I went to a private school. I didn't have it super tough. I don't remember it ever being difficult as a kid, but my parents tell me stories where there were plenty of nights where they had to put Vegemite on toast and that was dinner, right? Now, maybe it's because I liked Vegemite on toast. Now, for American friends, you probably won't like Vegemite because you spread it too thick, like the barest of touches of Vegemite and lots of butter, and you're good. But I do think that our relationship with money in our formative years as a teenager, and certainly as a 9-10-year-old, that's really impacted our view on wealth creation. And I'm still kind of remembering a story, actually, probably about 12 years ago. My son was 7 years old. We'd only just moved to where we live right now. And I caught myself, he disappeared from the house one day, okay? Quality parenting moment, right? Now, we've got a house with 10 external doors, so it's very easy to walk out wherever you want to. And my wife was out at work and she came home and she said, "Where's James?" And I got, I don't know, watching TV or something, playing his PlayStation. And no, turns out he was not at the house and he was not hiding in the garden. He wasn't playing hide and seek or something. He'd actually gone out doing door-to-door sales.
What did he sell?
He was selling loom bands. I don't know if you remember those.
I do remember those.
Rubber band bracelets.
Oh my gosh.
So he'd made up a bunch of rubber band bracelets and he went out and decided to sell them door to door. Now, it's just the thing as an adult that we find it very difficult to knock on doors, get rejected and go to the next door and try it again. He ended up making about $50 all up over 2 days. Right, the first day got in trouble. Second day he went out again, did it again.
But he improved his skills. See, that's the good
this
part
time
about having
referral strategy.
Yes.
I actually suggested too. When you knock on someone's door, ask for the neighbour's name. Ask for their name, right? So when you knock on the neighbour's door, you can say, "Jim next door said."
Genius. And that's why, of course, we give big bucks to the consultant.
The natural response as parents is to say, "No, don't do that. You're grounded," right? And my wife and I caught ourselves in that moment and said, "Okay, well, if you're going to do this, what would be a better way of making this money?" And I think that's a really important lesson that we as adults can learn, but also pass on to our children. The default isn't no, it's what would be a better way to achieve the outcome that I'm looking for. And I know that's something that you do with your trading methodology as well, because sometimes we don't get it right, do we?
Yes, that is gold, Tim. That you're already providing beautiful value, because this simulcast, because it's going onto your podcast as well as my podcast. My podcast is talkingtrading.com.au and your podcast is More Clients, Less Effort. So this is great because we're providing value already for each other's audiences. One of the things that I like as our combination is that we both are very system oriented. And I want to talk a bit about that too, because your story about your child is actually developing a system even at that young age. So I'd like your thoughts on this. Thinking about systems, I teach the people who train with me, members of my mentor program, I teach those people that there are actually 3 systems that we need to look at in order to be successful. The first system is about the share market. So that is your trading plan, your entry, your exit, your position sizing, the specifics about how you get in, how you get out, how much money to put into each position, including what you do with that money once you start making money. And if you're making losses, how you handle that. So that's the market system.
And it can run around like a headless chicken.
Exactly. You can write that into your trading plan if that's what you desire. But if it's written in your trading plan, then you can do it, right? So it's all premeditated aspects to pop onto paper in the cold light of day. So we're ignoring that very hot state. We're using our cold state when we're not in the markets to be able to have that pure logical decision making. So that's system 1. System 2 is systems to do with your home life, with your relationships, with your community. So how do you make sure that your spouse is looked after if this is a situation? Because not all of us have a spouse that's on board with our overall goals. So what's our system for dealing with that? What's our system for dealing with our friendships? Because sometimes when we start out earning our friends, that can put pressure on the friendship. So systems to do with those relationships that are the most important to you. And then the third type of system that I like to encourage people to consider is your personal systems. So how do you look after yourself? What's your self-care? How do you continually stay motivated? What do you do to recover after you've experienced a really big profit or a really big loss? What are the personal things such as morning journaling, such as aspects that involve fun? What can you do to encourage your vessel of your body to maintain its performance and achieve its very best year after year? Because we are talking about something that involves a grind. This is not a one-off. You make the money and then woohoo, you buy Portugal and off you go. No.
I don't know if Portugal's actually for sale, but...
No, it's not. I could be wrong there. I'm not in real estate. This is something, as with your own business, that you need to do year after year, and that grind can wear you down and it can lead to things like burnout. So, Tim, what are your thoughts about those 3
Yeah, look,
systems?
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, like even trading, if you just look at sort of the wealth creation system, right? Most of us has a system where we get up and we go to work. We're not even a government town where this is like the norm, right? And for most people it is, right? If you people in your life who are like this, they get up, they go to work, and they spend the first hour of every day working just for the privilege of driving their car to and from and paying for parking, and then the second hour is paying for the tax man, and the third hour is paying for all the food, and the fourth hour, right? And you finally get to hour 7 in the day, and that's the bit you get to keep for yourself, right? And I was reflecting on some of the things you were saying there, Louise, about that sort of wealth building system that you've got, whether it's a business, whether it's property, whether it's trading. You've got to have a system. For me, my system for trading is always buy reasonably good blue collar stocks and hold them for a long time.
Okay. So I've got it. I
started that system when I was my parents invested in some Commonwealth Bank shares, and I added more over time, and I sold all those, in my early 20s and bought a house. And so that was my system that I did. Right? I didn't kind of go too crazy. I didn't look at some of the sort of the more advanced trading techniques and stuff like that. But it was my system, and that's something I was comfortable with. Right?
There's lots of parts of that, though, that are tweakable here, and then I want you to continue on with your thought. So firstly, for everybody listening that is looking to get involved in the financial markets, definitely finding a way, as Tim did, to add more to winning positions or pyramiding is a fantastic way to go. Doing this over the long term, fabulous. But the thing that we need to do is to really define how to get into, how to get out of, and how much money to put into each position. So I'd love to refine that system over time and see how you go now, Tim. But continue on.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that was my system, right? I converted it into my first property, which was good. I doubled that within 3 years, doubled that again. And then one of the things that I noticed, I think a lot about whenever I looked at things like the Business Review Weekly Rich 100, it was people who made money in business and then made wealth through property. So that was my system that I followed, okay? Could it be better? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. But you are right. We have all sorts of different systems that we do. And the more I think the more we focus on systems, whether they be business systems for your sales and marketing, whether they be wealth building systems, whether they be personal systems, whatever they are for you, the more we can kind of get a predictable outcome. And that's what we're really looking for. We don't necessarily need to maximize the outcome all the time, although that would be great, right? But I think what most people are looking for, Louise, is just security of a predictable outcome. If I do this in 6 months' time, that's where I'll be. In 12 months' time, that's where I'll be. In 5 years' time, that's where I'll be. Because we're surrounded by so many uncertainties. But the more we can put predictability, the more likely we are to have some certainty and some safety, which is one of those fundamental needs that people have.
Yeah, I'm loving that. I think that predictability aspect is so important because we have to, first of all, make the plans to look into the future, imagine our future selves and imagine, are we going to be happy with those outcomes? And secondly, we need to execute those plans. So that's working right back into the minutiae of everyday life. So what you're saying does make a lot of sense.
What's the system you use? I mean, I'm curious from a customer acquisition perspective. What do you...
Yeah, let's talk about the business side. So just to give you the broad overview, my husband has decided to go into the property development side. So we've got the property side looked after. And of course, I'm involved slightly, but that isn't my major focus. That's his major focus. Thank goodness, because if it was up to me, I don't know if I would have gone there because it's too many things juggling. Spin those plays. The financial markets is my game, of course. And then with the business side of things, let's put on that business hat. Then I've got my tradinggame.com.au website, and that's where we train people to make money out of the stock market. And I've also got talkingtrading.com.au, which is my podcast. So in terms of how do I get my clients, how do I build up that lovely asset of community, what I do is I rely based on not only the people who come to me from my books, not only the people that come to me from my podcast, but I heavily rely on my people in my community to refer. Now, we have had the best people come through because they're buddies with, or they worked with, or they're the cousin of. And that to me is extremely fulfilling. Sure, it's not the quickest way to go. And when you're starting out in business, that can be a challenge. But sometimes all it takes is for you to ask. Ask who did that? Who else could I help that is in a similar situation to you? That, I think, is a forgotten secret of success for business owners. They tend to underestimate the importance of looking after their people, and they overestimate the importance of spreading their word far and wide like a spray gun, hoping that a bullet will hit the next person. So I do think a little bit of focus on your existing people can make all the difference.
What do you think makes your community really work well?
Yeah. We made a decision many years ago. My mentor program has been running since the year 2000, so 24 years we're coming up for. We decided to make it a repeat for free course. Now, nobody's doing this because they clearly have worked out that a weekend course pays them more money. Why not just take that money and run? But it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with my business partner, Chris Tate. We like to look after people and keep working for them for free until they hit their goals. Now, in being able to relate this for your audience, it is work out what your people want. What do they want in their heart? What are they trying to achieve? Firstly, you have to know them and understand their desires, what's important to them, but then you also have to supply that and to promote that you've supplied that. Yep. So we are continually asking our people to repeat I know that sounds ridiculous, but hey, they have to be reminded of the opportunity, and they have to be continually reinforced with the idea that we are in this together. And I think that that is a huge foundation of our success. We stayed loyal to our values. We stayed loyal to the idea that there are so many people out there in disreputable share market trading firms, prop trading, for example, that they churn and burn, and we didn't want to do that. So all those years later, we've got people who've repeated the course 23, 24 times, even more, because we've used to run it more than once a year. Now we only do it once a year. So to me, in summary, work out what your clients want, work out how you can fulfill that, and continually reinforce that you are fulfilling that for your existing community.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. I think it's one of those things that the industry as a whole I'm not necessarily talking about trading, I'm talking about marketing and business here, that we overlook the importance of customer retention and having a system around customer retention. So much of marketing is about get me more leads. In fact, it's a thing that I've heard repeated at me ad nauseum over the last 29 years that I've been in digital marketing, in the digital marketing space. I need more leads. Okay, well, no, you don't need more leads. I mean, and look, to be fair, you probably do need more leads, but it's only because you've got a really sort of immature conversion system and you've got an immature retention system, right? And you have to keep filling this leaky bucket, right? And most of us who have been in business for any length of time have seen the image of the leaky bucket. Water goes in the top, it all flows out, and then you try and get the few drops left over for yourself. It's super inefficient. And that's what systems are all about. The systems are about putting a process in place into your business, into your life, into your trading process that you can assess and improve over time. And so if you've got a business that is constantly leaking opportunity out, right? If you want to have this thing long term and make it a little bit easier and a little bit more predictable for yourself, the acquisition of clients is just one part. Okay? Look at how you're converting those clients, and particularly, I guess in your case, Louise, how do we retain them? What's a system that we can put in place to retain them? And if that system is just like give people lifetime access to the stuff they've already bought and encourage them to keep revisiting it, that's awesome, because what that does is it reinforces the value and builds that positive word of mouth off the back of that.
Yeah, it really does. And the other aspect, just as you're talking, that's occurred to me is in business, we often have that word avatar on our mind. So in business, an avatar is your ideal type of client. What does your client look like that you want to work with, but also wants to work with you? So ideally, looking at that avatar before you even put $1 into advertising is the best way to go, because you'll work out how to appeal to that avatar. Now, the parallel with this is in trading. I'm looking for an archetypal trade. I have got this ideal, perfect marriage material trade printed out, and there might be even more than one. Actually, I have 3, but that archetype is the purest, gorgeous, most perfect chart that I could possibly find. And for that chart, how have I traded it? So that is the equivalent of avatar. Now, often traders think that they need to keep on pursuing new opportunity after new opportunity. They think they have to get more and more short term until they're up against their computer screen just seeing pixels and they can't see the big picture, like a 2-year-old watching TV. So I do encourage traders to step back, match their archetype directly, so that there is no wiggle room and you are entering those perfect trades time and time again. And once you're in that perfect trade, to throw yourself at it, to pyramid in, keep on adding money to it. And that longer term, more macro, more mature view ends up making more money than those very short-term day traders every single time. And that's the same with business owners. That avatar has to be first and foremost in your mind, and you also have to be in alignment as well. So if you can examine your values, work out what's really important to you, how do you fit in the world, how do you enjoy interacting with people, and match those values to your avatars, then your commitment to those people will not only be definitely in alignment, but your marketing words, your copy, or your pitch, if you like, will also touch their hearts, and it will be much more effective.
Yeah, absolutely. Louise, I love to finish our podcast with a quick fire. And I have not warned you of these questions in advance like I do with some people.
No, I like the surprise.
Let's see where we go. Let's see how many of these stump you. But what's a funny story that your family tells about you that you're open to sharing?
Nah, I am very much known for losing my way. So I geographically am very, very challenged. Many, many times I have walked completely in the wrong direction and even gone into the guys' toilets because I thought they were the ladies, because I was pretty sure it was on the left, but no, it was on the right.
To be fair, it's probably a shorter line.
Yeah, damn. So yeah, I've surprised a few men in my time.
Fantastic. What's a common myth about your field of expertise?
The myth is you have to be good at mathematics. So many people have been terrified of the share market because they think they have to be a maths whiz. It is certainly not the case. You need a basic level of 2 + 2, but it can all be looked after by spreadsheets. You don't have to be directly attuned to maths in order to make a good buck.
I do love me a good spreadsheet.
Yes.
What's one thing about your business over the last 24 odd years that you didn't expect?
I never expected that I would watch my clients and me grow old. We have had quite a few people refer children, quite a few people refer their parents, but we have also had people refer not only their parents, but also their children. So we have got 3 generations of people learning in the same family from us. And that I had no idea would be so rewarding, to be involved and to stay involved in these clients' lives, to watch them excel and achieve, to see them through the money that the markets bring in change, where they live, where they send their children to school, the types of cars they drive, the holidays they go on, that companionship that can be focused on and elevated once money is looked after. Yeah. So that to me is a surprise.
Because it's a testament to the work that you do with your clients. But I think without a doubt, and it's a big driver for me as well, we go into business to create an impact on the people around us and to make their world better. And certainly when you bring in multi-generational family groups, certainly that tells me that you're doing that incredibly well. What's your favorite productivity hack for entrepreneurs?
Set an alarm. So I, if left to my own devices, would be a procrastinator, but there's a couple of things that I really enjoy to help overcome that desire. One is a countdown. So to get myself out of bed, as ridiculous as this sounds, I give myself a countdown like I was about to launch a rocket, baby. So I do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, da-dum, up. There I am, the day can start. Now, it adds a touch of drama, but it does get me out of bed, and I've noticed when I don't do that, that is a difficulty. But once I'm up and running, and I do have that big to-do list, not the to-do list, that's very boring. I have a to-do list, so my to-do list is as long as anybody's. And to get through those, I imagine how long it will take for that task, and then I set an alarm and I try and beat that alarm so that once that alarm goes, that task can be ticked off, and I take a massive dopamine pleasure in ticking that off my list.
Yeah, I think for me it would be my calendar. I can't live without my calendar right now. If it's not in there, it doesn't happen.
That's
one of the things I like, I've got a big whiteboard that I bought from the ex-government warehouse sale once, and one thing I like to do is come in and write 3 things that I need to do today, just on the whiteboard. And once I've ticked off those 3 things, the day's done. Doesn't matter what else is going on, okay? I could actually knock off for the day. Right, get those away. And if you think about that, right, if you did that in the course of a year, that'd be 600 things that you've improved. You got team, it'll be even more. Yeah. Louise, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on More Clients, Less Effort and simulcast on Talking Trading. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, and look forward to catching up soon.
It has been a pleasure, Tim. I've known you for many years. I do very much enjoy our chats on LinkedIn. Now, for everybody thinking, what can I do for Louise and Tim? They've provided such value. I really do feel they've made a difference to my day. What you can do, you can give us a review, preferably on Apple Podcasts, but also through Google. So we would love that, wouldn't we, Tim? Wouldn't that be?
We absolutely would. Share with someone who liked you. Share with someone with you like who would get value from this.
Yes, that referral idea is alive and well. So, Tim, it's been great having you on the show. Thanks so much for your wisdom about systems.
Thanks very much, Liz. We'll chat soon.